it's really hard to sort of go to bed, wake up the next day and know that you're just like going through the same sort of turmoil. I just couldn't be bothered to deal with it anymore. Sort of started feeling like a bit of a recluse. I was inside all the time and missing out on a lot of opportunities. It affected my whole life, really. My first interaction with eczema was when I was a newborn, so obviously I don't remember that, but for my mum, she was obviously upset by it. To see her little baby sort of having to tie her hands down and stuff because she's scratching her skin. I've been in and out of doctor's surgeries my whole life for it, and I've tried pretty much every cream, whether it's a steroid or just a moisturiser, anything that they can prescribe you, I've tried, and a lot of it hasn't worked at all. A lot of it has worked for a little while and then stopped working. Stuff that I used when I was little I can't use now because it will have the opposite effect. It will, instead of making it better, make it worse. So yeah, it's been a bit of a roller coaster.
Eczema is an inflammatory condition of the skin. It can be atopic, so it can be associated with hay fever and asthma as well. And the way it affects the skin is it causes redness, inflammation, sometimes nodules, can make the skin very, very itchy, can be sore, and in very severe cases it can lead the skin to ooze and weep.
I'm doing an illustration degree and I love it. I'm doing children's books, which is what I want to do. I'm working on a book about a bear cub that likes to paint. Having a bad flare-up puts me back in sort of every way. It makes me become a complete introvert. I don't like leaving the house because I don't like people staring, and I can't blame them for looking because it is noticeable when it's really bad, but obviously it's uncomfortable. Trying to get ready to go to work or out for the day and literally crying whilst putting makeup on, which is a impossible thing to achieve because you put a bit on, you cry, it comes off again. And I just remember constantly being sat in the mirror for half an hour trying to cover up one bit of under my eye that was bright red because I kept crying and it kept coming back. That was sort of a really repetitive thing to deal with.
I think it was really when Rosie, in her teenage years, both before university, but it got worse at university, was when it got so bad, her eczema got so bad that she was covered from head to toe. And there are two aspects to that. One is the uncomfortableness of it and just seeing her really irritated. But I think more importantly was the impact psychologically on her in terms of it was on her face, it was obvious to others when she went outside. She was struggling with that and it was making her quite reclusive. And I was worried about her, and particularly when she was at university.
I thought I had some weird disease that I'd caught, and I was kind of scared to speak to any of my housemates because I wasn't sure what it was, because I hadn't had it that severe since I was tiny. I feel very separated from a lot of the people on my course because I spent so much time in first and second year not going in. And now that I'm in third year, it's hard to kind of create those bonds with these people that you're meant to be getting along with because they don't know me. It affects everything, and even going to the shop is difficult. When you say you've got severe eczema, they still don't really understand the severity of it, and they don't understand how it isn't just you've got an itchy arm or an itchy leg. It's hard to move and it's hard to get on with your life. And it's so important that people start understanding that it does affect everything.
Probably most, if not all, the patients that we see when they're having a flare-up, it's probably affected them in some way. So we try and treat patients as a whole and treat their skin condition alongside treating their mental health as well. Obviously there's a very strong link between the two, so the skin condition affects the mental health and vice versa. So as well as treating the skin condition, we try and assess somebody's mental health. It's very important that they receive medical treatment as well as treatment for their mental health as in sort of tandem with each other.
I used to work as a waitress, and I remember one shift in particular where I put a plate down in front of a customer and he jolted away from my hands because they were scabbed and cut, and I had to go home after that because it made me cry, and my boss was so annoyed with the customer that he took over and dealt with it because he was like, there's no way that you're going back out there and speaking to him.
I approached a private hospital in Bristol out of desperation really to see if we could get her to see a specialist dermatologist. And we got very quickly into this appointment at private hospital in Bristol, and the consultant was brilliant, really got quickly both sides of it, the severity of the skin condition and the impact psychologically. At the time, her boyfriend Ryan was really helpful and really solid and a real support, and I think without him maybe she wouldn't have stayed at university, and the psychological impact would have been just too great, and I'm really grateful to him for having helped her get through and being a sort of strong, solid force, and for also making sure she knew that he loved her regardless of what her skin looked like. And that was really, really important to me. And I am very grateful to him.
My face is what flares up most sort of frequently. My eyes have always been, since I can remember, that my eyes have been sensitive, but this point that's the sort of time that I didn't want to leave the house, because there was no way makeup would cover that, and if it did, it would just flake off and it would be so uncomfortable because I felt like I should constantly be applying cream rather than drying it out, which makeup would do. My eyes were just swollen. It was horrible. And it was weeping as well, so my skin didn't smell good. It smelled like I didn't wash, and I struggled to wash, but I still tried. It really hurt though. It always got most ferocious on my back. My boyfriend gets very sick even now of giving me back tickles because it soothes it. But because when it's that agitated, all you want to do is just scratch and scratch and scratch, but you know that makes it worse. And you can see the scratch marks, the cut skin, the weeping. The lighter bits are where I've cut the skin and it's weeping. And then the darker bits are where it's risen, and then scratch marks. People that are really close to me have not found it easy. My mum's cried about it many a time, and my boyfriend, who we actually started seeing each other pretty much as the bad flare-ups started happening, and he's been so supportive and made me feel beautiful even when I really didn't look it. I don't know, I didn't look it. I was so absorbed in what I was going through that it took me until I sort of started getting better to realise how amazing he had been. I genuinely don't know where I would be if he hadn't been there, and I know that's quite a big statement, but it was so sort of traumatising, and if I had been on my own, I probably would have dropped out of uni and ended up back at home with my mum, and if it wasn't for him, my life would be pointless right now. I don't know what I'd be doing with my time. I wouldn't be starting off with my career, and I wouldn't have the friends that I have. Although I struggled to go into uni when my skin was really bad, I still got my uni work done. It takes my mind off anything whenever I'm feeling a bit rubbish or sad or just restless. It's something that could distract me for hours and hours and hours, and it sort of helps the time fly when I'm agitated with my skin or feeling low about it. It also gives me an excuse to stay inside if I want to stay inside, because I don't want to face the world that day. Even though I didn't want to go into uni and face my tutors and my fellow classmates, I still worked really hard, and I've still enjoyed that part of my uni experience. Putting the skin thing to one side, that has been what's made it a great 3 years. Currently on a treatment called Dupilumab or Dupixent, which is an injection treatment.
So Dupilumab is the first targeted treatment of its kind for eczema. It is specifically targeted to IL-4 and IL-13, which are the components of the immune system thought to trigger eczema. It stops the itching and the inflammation and all the other problems associated with eczema.
As every 2 weeks comes around, each time it's getting better and better. So it's clearly like a long, slow process, but it's also something that I can be on for life. My family have been really supportive throughout the whole thing. They're there when I need to cry on their shoulder, but they're also there to celebrate when it cleared up for a little bit. My mum and dad have been amazing. When I was in the private care paying for it, it cost thousands to just get 6 months worth of treatment from private care. They were like, you need it to get on with your life. So they were happy to fund it for me. And I'll never be thankful enough for that, because it obviously is what kickstarted the whole journey of getting from really, really bad skin to now when it's manageable. And for someone who is going through the really severe eczema at the moment and isn't currently on a treatment that's working, it's easier said than done, but you've just got to try and get through it. You've got to think of it as your skin isn't your whole life, it isn't who you are. Don't let it ruin your life, because I definitely did. And now that I'm feeling a lot better and my skin's a lot better, I can look back and actually see how much I let it sort of crush me down. And it is easier said than done, because you can't help but feel sort of helpless and upset and sort of personally attacked almost. But keep trying with the medications the doctors are forcing at you, because there may be one that works for you. And it took me a while to get to that point. It took me 21 years to find something that actually worked. But I'm there now, and I'm lucky.